Welcome to Business Reporter's Future of Retail campaign. I'm Rachel Hicks. Retail is one of the most disrupted sectors of the British economy, and attracting and retaining customers is one of the things keeping many a retail CEO awake at night. Most realise that gathering feedback from customers to better understand what they want is critical in an emerging experience economy. And as a result, retail businesses now have a goldmine of customer data at their disposal. So what's stopping them turning that data into business growth when going the extra mile for customers is what drives retail sales today over price or product? Well, that's what we're going to discuss today with Douglas Mancini, VP EMEA Sales of Critizr, which started out as a customer feedback app 7 years ago and has since become Europe's leading customer feedback management platform provider. Douglas, hello. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, research shows that in retail, improving the customer experience is key to a good bottom line. So does that explain the current retail obsession with customer feedback and customer listening?
Well, it's always about the bottom line, of course. But I think more interestingly, we have to break that down and understand what is impacting the bottom line from a customer experience standpoint. The reality is very simple. If you want to buy a product or a service, it's much cheaper, easier, and trouble-free to do it online. So the only reason people are going into bricks and mortar retail experience places, whether they be stores, whether they be restaurants, is because they want an experience that goes along with the product or service that they're buying. So by really developing this experience based on the feedback of your customers, you're providing something differentiated, you're delighting them. And then the other side of that coin is how they're telling other people, not so much word of mouth, although there's certainly plenty of that. It's really about e-reputation and how it enhances when somebody does search online for an experience coupled with a product or a service, why they choose you, because they can see the experience is going to be unique, different, and what they're looking for.
So what prevents retailers from using that insight and that data effectively?
Well, I think the first thing really is, are they getting the data and are they getting effective data? So really they have to be able to collect the data in quantity and quality, because without quantity, you can't really make good business decisions. And the only way to get quantity is quality, but the quality is on two sides. So it's the quality of the feedback you're getting from your customers, but you have to be able to reply to that feedback to create quality closing of the loop and then more quantity coming in.
So what are the barriers to creating a strong customer-focused culture in retail business at the moment?
There's many, and the bigger the retailer, the harder it is. It's really down to siloed data coming in. How does the local team on the ground in the store hear about it? Well, they hear about it through a statistic, maybe in a monthly report or a quarterly report. They really don't understand how it's impacting them or indeed where the feedback's coming from.
So how can they overcome these challenges?
I'm glad you say that, right? So really, it's all about creating a feedback loop at the local level. And we do that by empowering the people who deliver a retail experience every day. So feedback comes in at a local level, it's responded to in a conversational way at a local level in the store. And then because of that, you're getting more quantity and quality, so you're able to measure and act on this feedback. And then finally, you're able to showcase it in an e-reputation type format.
Can you give me an example of what you mean when you're talking about it comes in at a conversational level?
Let me give you an example. This is my favorite example. One of our customers is a large supermarket chain. Somebody walks into this supermarket chain on a Friday afternoon, and it's a mid-sized location. There's 10 cash tills. Only 2 are open. We've all experienced it, right? The queues are very long. The person's waiting on the queue. They notice a poster that says, contact the store manager, give your feedback. There's a text number, there's a QR code they can scan, or there's a URL they can punch into their mobile device. Well, they go for the text number, they text the store manager, and the feedback they give is, I'm really fed up with waiting in this queue. This happens all the time in your store. I'm not coming back. The store manager gets an alert, and he replies back by opening 2 more tills and notifying the customer, I've just opened 2 more tills. But in the meantime, he's also looking at his data on a weekly, monthly basis and saying, I have to act on this. I need to put more tills, I have to have more tills open on a Friday afternoon. And then finally, he's talking to his management to be able to put in self-service tills because he's not ever going to keep up with the demand under peak periods. So this is how feedback changes the experience on a very basic level, immediately, on the midterm, and on the long term.
So tell us more about Critizr's customer feedback platform?
So the example I just gave actually was enabled with Critizr's feedback platform. So there's 4 basic components. It's really about collecting feedback, and we can collect feedback from over 20 different channels. Because one of the key things to collecting feedback and getting this quantity and quality of data is allowing your customers to give feedback in the medium that they like, and depending on the demographic of your customers, it may be social media, such as Twitter, Facebook, Google My Business, TripAdvisor, depending on the industry. It could also be more traditional post-purchase emails that they can respond to, or indeed the point-of-sale poster in the example I gave. Once this feedback comes in, the fundamental difference of our platform is enabling the local teams in the stores to be able to close the loop, so that what we call the inner loop. So that's on the local level, they're feeling the feedback and they're responding to the feedback. It does 2 things. It changes the culture in the store right away because they're hearing the feedback real time. It also changes the customer's experience in real time. So that's a big difference. And because we're doing that, customers are more likely to reply to feedback requests, or indeed give unsolicited feedback more frequently to that business because they believe they're being heard, and they are being heard. Therefore, we're measuring and enabling these teams to act. So we have a measurement suite that allows us to look at trends, compare one branch to another branch, one country to another country, etc., and looking at across the board how you're doing and what we need to change in the business. The store teams know what they need to change on a daily basis because they're looking at it. The regional managers now are looking at their region, and it goes right up to HQ.
So you have happy customers, they're broadcasting it, but you've developed a unique tool to measure the ROI from an improved customer experience. Tell me about it.
Well, we're very excited about this because it's very unique in the industry. So our tool looks at it very differently, and our tool comes equipped with a person to help you go through the process, because we have to understand where you are in the CX maturity curve, which means how far along the best practices you are in the collect, converse, measure, and showcase components, and then we can determine what kind of improvements you will get. So where does this data come from, you might ask? Well, it comes from the over 3 million data points per month that we collect for our customers today, and the over 30,000 retail outlets that we enable through the Critizr platform.
Tell me what the 3 key takeaways from today would be.
Customer feedback helps you to design your customer experience, which does indeed hit the bottom line, and it's a significant bottom line increase. But if I look at the 3 things that really impact that, it's got to be done on a local level, because you have to change the culture within your organization, and you can't do it from the top down. We've all tried it. It's got to be done both from the top down and from the bottom up, and empowering your local teams gives you the bottom up. That's the first thing. 2, in order to do that, you have to keep it really simple. So big exotic solutions that crunch huge amounts of data probably aren't going to work. And in fact, you asked before why retailers have struggled to implement some of these things. Well, it's because it's too complicated when you try to go for this big, holistic approach. And quite frankly, you're probably not going to get enough data to make it statistically significant anyway. So keep it simple. And then finally, make it so that you can act locally and act on the data.
Douglas, thank you for coming in and talking to us today.
My pleasure.